Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Yasir Yamin and I welcome you all in this session. Guys, this is a very good opportunity that you're getting. In this particular session, we are going to discuss all about SBR. This is not like a normal class. In this particular class, I'm not going to teach you anything. Rather, you and I are just going to, get around the syllabus of strategic business reporting paper. We'll get to know how this course is actually developed, what your examiner wants you to do, how your examiner wants you to perform, what mindset you need to carry into your examination. And as long as you can have that mindset with you, I'm very sure that you will be able to ace it. All right. So let's begin. Let's begin. And by the way, just before we even begin, please make sure that you remember that this particular orientation session is for SBR international variant. We are only talking about the international variant for now. There is one very famous UK variant as well. Largely what's the difference between the international variant and UK variant is a particular chapter which focuses on UK GAAP. GAAP means generally accepted accounting principles. Now, largely all over the world, people do SBR international variant because that covers IAS and IFRS in depth and it is applicable globally. So people go for SBR international always. But sometimes people who are residing in the UK or plan to reside in UK or plan to work in UK and they want to sign off the financial statements for the purpose of audit or anything, they opt for SBR UK. I'm being very specific just by, just a clarity. Just by doing SBR UK, you don't get the right to sign an audit report in UK, right? It doesn't work like that. So I know many people who might be watching this orientation session would listen to me and say, oh, if we take SBR UK variant, then okay, we get the audit rights. No, it doesn't work that way. One of the conditions of getting the audit right is that you should be, well versed with the UK GAAP variant. And that is why people who are only residing in UK opt for that variant, right? And even if you're residing in UK and you want to go for SBR UK variant, don't you worry. What people do is people take my SBR international course because 95% of the course is same. 95% of the course is always same. So people take that course and cover the UK chapter by themselves. So my advice is always go for SBR international variant. As far as studying is concerned, it won't be a problem if you're studying SBR international variant with me, and then you can cover the UK part by yourself, or maybe you can take help with me, from me. That won't be an issue. All right, let's move forward. We'll begin today's session by a brief introduction about myself. My name is Yasir Yamin. I'm a qualified chartered accountant from multiple bodies. I'm a qualified chartered accountant from ICAEW. I'm a fellow chartered certified accountant. And at the time of making this video, I'm associate chartered management accountant as well from ICMA Pakistan. Besides that, I hold the BSc honors degree in applied accounting and blah, 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 right? So enough said about my qualifications. Obviously, I am qualified to deliver you this subject, but why do I say that I have an edge when I teach you SBR? That's more because I have apart from teaching experience of 13 years, I've been working for last 13 to 14 years as well. Yeah. So for the past 13 years or so, I've been professionally working in the profession. I've worked in audit. I worked in, local textile company, and I'm currently working as a financial controller for a multinational corporation. So I've got, wide range of experience that helps me teach you subjects. Many a times I've seen that in particular in SBR, because SBR is a strategic level paper, many a times case scenarios come or case studies come that I somehow feel that they actually depict what is happening in my real life. The other day, we were doing a past paper in my regular class in one of the other batches, and I was just telling my students that this particular case, when I see this particular case question, This is exactly the replica of what type of scenario I am dealing with, in my real life, right? So since I'm doing something in my real life and that actually depicts, that is actually depicted in your examination paper as well, so I'm in a better position to deliver you what's the sensitivity of the scenario and how to deal with that scenario with practical aspects as well. So many of my previous students have always said that one of the core competitive advantages that we get while studying from you is the fact that you have got a lot of professional experience, and that professional experience is reflected in your lectures as well. So we get a lot of practical knowledge and practical examples. Those are not hypothetical examples but are real examples, and that make us more connected with the real world. That makes the scenario more interesting. So learning about IS 9 or IFRS 2 or IFRS 9, it becomes more interesting when there is a practical element involved in it, because you see that around yourself if you're working somewhere, or if you plan to work somewhere, or if you just go by the news, you'll get a connect with my lectures, right? That's the whole idea. My teaching style tends to be engaging. I try to interact as much as I can. I use real world examples to enhance your understanding. So that's about myself. Now, I'm very sure that you are not here just to listen about me. You're here to understand about the paper SBR. Now, let's talk about SBR. You see, SBR is your one of the strategic professional exams that you have in ACCA. Now, these are strategic papers. Why do we call them strategic? Because they don't talk about nitty-gritties of a transaction. Your examiner does not require you to prepare a general ledger. Your examiner does not expect you to prepare a trial balance or anything which depicts a sort of stuff which a senior accountant or which head of accounting would not be doing. So it's more of a large scale or more of a macro senior perspective that you get in this paper. Why do we call it a professional exam? Because this is the skill set every professional must have. Yeah. So your papers SBR and SBL both are business related. So any accountant would have to deal with businesses, right? Even if you're in audit, you have to deal with businesses. And since you have to deal with businesses, you need to have, at the very least, in order to become a professional, you need to have that sort of leadership and that sort of reporting knowledge so that you can excel and you can help to grow the business, right? Or you can make sure that the business is secured, secure in terms of risks and other areas and ethics and everything. So that is why these are professional exams in with the meaning that they provide you professional knowledge. These are not general knowledge but professional knowledge, you know particularly with regards to the accounting profession, what's required of the accounting profession. And yet at the same time they are strategic in nature, so you don't talk about nitty gritties, you don't talk about transactions on a very low level. All right. Why do I say that SBR is a very good paper? This is because it covers the investor's perspective. Throughout your SBR journey, we'll be discussing why a particular accounting treatment should be done. It should be done because it would faithfully represent the affairs of the business, and we'll keep on discussing why representing true state of affairs of the business is important to your investor. So not only you need to prepare financial statements, you need to perform correct accounting treatments, you need to support correct accounting treatments just because your profession requires you to do it. But your examiner also wants you to understand that whenever you do the correct accounting treatment or whatever has been proposed by IAS or IFRS, that is in the benefit of an investor. You need to take that investor's perspective into account while you analyze whether a particular accounting standard is better or worse. SBR is one of those papers where you will be expected to sometimes criticize a particular IAS or IFRS. That happens in real world. You see, at the end of the day, any IAS or IFRS is ultimately made by human beings, and human beings can make mistake. When IS and IFRS are made, they are made after a lot of consultation between practitioners, between academics, and between a lot of professional bodies all around the world. But still, there is a good likelihood that, since accounting standards are static in nature, they are not evolving, there might be some new circumstance, some new type of transaction which the accounting standard may not have an answer of. Yeah, it may not have an answer to. So you may be in a position to criticize a particular accounting standard or appreciate. In a vice versa case, you may be expected to appreciate the proposals of an accounting standard. And when you do that, you might take an investor's perspective in your mind. You might say, okay, this particular saying of an accounting standard is not very useful. For example, I'll give you an example. The other day, we were doing a particular, question which was published by ACCA, in which your examiner asked you that for technology-driven businesses, when technology-driven businesses are like Facebook, are like Google, are like YouTube, Instagram, companies like these are technology-driven businesses. Now, the question was, from the investor's perspective, do you think the data that Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Netflix, Google has, should that data, first of all, be recognized in accordance with IAS 38? Number one. Number two, would it be helpful if the data is published as an asset in your financial statements? Now, you see, you have to criticize this. For example, according to IAS 38, any internally developed asset of this sort, any data, customer data that you have, what type of likings or disliking your customer has, what is the geographical location, what type of interest they have, what type of music they listen to. Facebook gathers everything. Your whole lifestyle, your whole likings or disliking are gathered by Facebook. So it's data, and then Facebook uses that data in order to provide service to other companies who pay them for advertising. So Facebook earns revenue out of the data they collect from you and me. Make sense? So the question is whether that data which provides some future economic benefit should be classified as an asset or not. And under IAS 38, this type of data cannot be classified as an intangible asset merely because the valuation that you would give to that particular data will be too subjective, too judgmental. I mean, Facebook collects each and every cent of information about my lifestyle, but what is the valuation of that data, right? It keeps on evolving. So the valuation would be so subjective that it's not allowed by IAS 38 to capitalize that particular data as an intangible asset under your financial statement. Now, examiner asked you whether this accounting treatment is better or worse from the perspective of an investor. Now, from an investor's perspective, an investor would want to see this type of data being reflected into the financial statement as an asset, because investor needs to rely on the financial statements and they need to assess whether a particular type of business would be able to generate future economic benefits or not. Now, Facebook's entire revenue, or largely all of their revenue, is driven from the data they collect, but that data is not shown as an asset which will provide a future economic benefit into their financial statements. So this is how you criticize a particular accounting standard, and that is why we take investors' perspective under our consideration while we are studying SBR. So it's way more interesting than you can think of. All right. So this paper will require a clear assessment and evaluation of the reporting decisions made by management and their implications. One of the core additions to SBR paper in today's time is the developments in narrative reporting, and such as the addition of sustainability reporting. So nowadays, sustainability is the hot topic around. Everybody, every regulator, every market participant, everybody is talking about sustainability, climate issues, sustainability in terms of the resources that use, sustainability in terms of the human, humans treatment that a company adopts. Everything is related to sustainability nowadays. And luckily, SBR is one of those papers that has early adopted this topic of sustainability. We are clearly talking about sustainability reporting, sustainability standards, and everything about that is covered in this particular paper. Any deficiencies in existing accounting standards, that is covered as well. All right. So the way SBR is established or SBR develops is, I would like to, develop or show you the logical relationship of SBR examination. You see, SBR builds on the knowledge of FR. Yeah. So whatever knowledge you obtained in the previous paper of FR, SBR builds on that. Yeah. So if you reasonably remember what we studied in our previous paper, the knowledge that you previously studied, SBR is built on that. And don't worry if you haven't studied anything, because we revise core concepts of FR in our SBR course. So I make sure that I provide you the relevant content which helps you to revise the FR paper as well. All right. So you can champion SBR. And if you champion SBR, it will not only support you in this particular paper, but people tell me that at least 60% of AAA is also based on the knowledge that you obtain in SBR. So certainly that if you are well prepared for SBR, if you champion SBR, you will not only succeed in life, because this is the core function of every accountant, but you will also excel in one of the other papers. If you take that particular optional paper, AAA, you will also excel in that. All right. So moving forward, before I take a deep dive into the course outline and everything, I would like to identify some of the common myths that students have, right? So first of all, please take care of these myths. There is a myth that SBR can be studied in the same manner as I prepared for FR. This is a myth. This is not practically possible when you prepare for SBR. So for example, in FR, when I teach FR, I teach everyone a particular accounting standard. Let's say I teach IAS 16 first. And then we do multiple questions of IAS 16 from the examination kit, from the study hub, from the past papers and everything. Then we take, for example, IAS 23, we study that, we do some examination questions, we do some past papers on it, and that is how you study FR. So for each and every subtopic, you have multiple MCQs and MTQs that allow you to practice a particular accounting standard as you move forward. So you can do past papers right from day one. Now, it's a myth that you can prepare for SBR in the same manner as you prepared for FR. Why? Because you cannot do past papers of SBR from day one. Whenever a SBR question comes, a particular SBR past paper has 4 questions, but each and every question and each and every paragraph of that question will always expose you to multiple accounting standards. People, when they study SBR from me, they always ask you, sir, we have done IFRS 2, why don't we do past papers of it? We have done IAS 19, why don't we do past papers of it? And I keep on telling students that it is just not possible on this particular level that for each and every accounting standard you do 200 questions. It is not possible. Yes, you will get some practice questions from my side. We always do some study up questions and everything like that, but it is just not possible to do past papers of SBR from day one. You cannot do past papers of any strategic professional exam or your final level exams in ACCA from day one. It's not possible, because your professional level exams always come in a manner where multiple things are tested within one area. So if you have just studied a part of the entire course, it is just not possible for you to attempt a past paper. You won't be able to do it. So the manner in which we study SBR, and I'll keep on talking about the manner we study SBR and as we move forward, but please make sure that you understand that we study SBR in a strategic manner. We complete some IAS and IFRS first. We complete some IS and IFRS first, then we do some past papers, then we do some consolidation, then we do some past papers, and by mixing up the course, this is how we complete the entire course. Now, I've been teaching this subject for quite a long time now. So I have developed over time, a strategy in which if you follow that strategy, you have maximum chances of success. You have maximum chances of success. And that is why I would certainly suggest that you break this myth in your mind that you will be able to practice, you will be able to do everything in the same manner as you did for FR and you'll clear SBR. That's not going to happen. So you really need to, focus on what I tell you and how I tell you. All right. Second thing is that people think that SBR is all about memorization of IS and IFRS. It's not about memorization anymore. So you need to have the perspective why a particular accounting standard was actually developed, what answers does that particular accounting standard give, where the accounting standard is silent, how can it be improved, everything. You need to have that perspective that IS and IFRS are ultimately man-made and they must have been made with the logic in mind. They must have been made with a perspective, with an objective in mind. And there are always rooms for improvement. You need to have that perspective. So just by memorizing IS and IFRS, you won't be able to make it. Yes, learning about IS and IFRS and some part of it, maybe memorizing it, will help you, but that's not the only thing that you do in SBR. That's certainly not the only thing that you do in SBR. All right. One of the other myths that people uncommonly, I won't say commonly, but uncommonly have, is that they think that it's impossible to pass SBR in first attempt. I can tell you from my previous experience, most of the students do pass SBR in their first attempt. Even those students who did not pass FR in their first attempt, pass SBR in their first attempt. That's the magic of SBR. So SBR is a very well-versed paper. Your examiner wants you to act based on the knowledge that you have obtained. So it's not like, just ratifying or just memorizing a particular stuff and your examiner is going to ask you for 10 marks, tell me about IFRS 15. No, it's not like that. You will get a particular case scenario in which you will have to apply IFRS 15 and talk about IFRS 15 and explain how IFRS 15 would be implemented. And, that is where students tend to gain marks. Students are not always good with memorizing each and everything without logic, right? So this is where SBR really helps you. So if you have concept, if you have learned what IS and IFRS says in a very good manner, you will be able to pass it in the first attempt, inshallah. There is a common myth that exam technique is not important for every advanced stage examination of ACCA. Exam technique is the half thing. It's the 50% of of the total effort required. So 50% is the knowledge that you take into your exam, and at least, if not more, at least 50% is the skill of passing the paper. And how do you get that skill? How do you get that technique? You get that technique through our classes. You get that technique by practicing. You get that technique by taking the live sessions that we have. And all of these will help you, get the examination technique in your mind, which is imperative in order to pass your exam. All right. Moving forward. If you look at the global pass rates of SBR, they have been quite reasonably well, right? So starting from 51% in September 2022 till 49% in the recent March 2024 attempt. So it's a level that SBR maintains. SBR is a paper which approximately half of the people always pass. Yeah. So on a global level, half of the people passing this particular paper is a very good percentage. It's a very good percentage. And I tell you, most of our students who get to learn IS and IFRS in much depth, they spend a lot of hours, studying this particular paper. They have more chances of passing. They are definitely within this 50%, 50% population. All right. Broadly categorizing how your SBR paper is going to be tested. So I have just categorized your whole SBR paper. SBR paper has a lot of things to study. But just to categorize, just to make sure that you broadly understand what is expected out of you in SBR, so just to broadly categorize the course outline, I have outlined 6 core headings or 6 core sections or 6 core topics of your entire paper. The first part of the paper is all about IAS and IFRS. So we'll start our course by learning IAS and IFRS. Most of the IFRS that we'll start with, or IAS that we'll start with, you would have not studied them before in your previous paper FR. Sometimes you will get a particular accounting standard that you might have studied before, but you'll have to study it again because there are some things new. There are some additions to that particular accounting standard. But largely, what you will do, you will start your course by learning accounting standards. This is one of the more core parts of your entire course. At least 40% of your paper is made up of IAS and IFRS. It's pure IAS and IFRS, right? Then you'll be studying group accounting. Group accounting means consolidation. There is another myth in the minds of students that it's more important to learn advanced consolidation in SBR. It's more important to learn advanced consolidation that is there in SBR. Whatever we have learned in FR might not be as useful. It's a myth. It's incorrect. I can assure you that under SBR, both basic level of consolidation and advanced consolidation are the topics that you haven't studied before in your paper FR. These are those areas of consolidation which you will study with me for the very first time. I'll let you know what are those areas. Yeah, just in a bit I'll let you know about them. But believe you me, both basic and advanced consolidation are equally important from the perspective of your exam. Both will be heavily tested. Yeah. I'm just going to let you know the exam pattern in a while, but question number 1 of your examination is on consolidation. And I can assure you that larger part of that particular question 1 is from basic consolidation. So you cannot forego any of the lectures of basic consolidation. I will teach you consolidation basics, assuming, I will just be presuming without any logic, I'll just be assuming that you haven't studied consolidation even the tiniest bit. So I'll teach you my way of consolidation, which is the recommended way of consolidating financial statements from the very scratch. We'll start how a company acquires another company, how they get control and everything. We'll start from the very basics. And sometimes what mistake students do they just fast forward the basic lectures. Don't do that. You can only perform well in advanced consolidation if you are very well versed with the basic consolidation. We'll repeat 100% of the basic consolidation in our course. Make sure to complete this because this will help you in advanced consolidation for sure. All right. Then there is the third area of ethics and professional principles. Then there is APMs. APMs means, additional performance measures. This is, performance measurement was all about ratios in previous papers. This is the topic which is known as APMs, additional performance measures, is everything except ratios. So nowadays, companies have various other techniques to analyze the performance of the business. And those other techniques are discussed as a section in your particular course outline. All right. Then we have something which is known as sustainability reporting standards. This is a new addition to your course, SBR. You'll be studying IFRS S1 and S2, sustainability standard 1 and sustainability standard 2. Up till now, you had been studying about IAS, International Accounting Standard, and IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard. But now you will get to know about S1 and S2. These are newly developed accounting standards, newly developed reporting standards that you'll learn about. These are newly developed. Yeah. So these are highly important from your examinations perspective. And then there is one area of your course which talks about current developments, or this is commonly known as current issues. Yeah. Current issues area is the area of your exam where your examiner asks you some questions about the current affairs of what's happening with the accounting world or with the profession right now. They might ask you which accounting standard, they might ask you something about which is something about a particular accounting standard that is in development phase and might be available in future periods. They might ask you to criticize a particular accounting standard. These are all current developments that examiner might ask you. All right. So we will talk about these current issues just near the exam. Remember, these are current issues. So I cannot teach you current issues from on day one. Till the time of your exam, they won't be current anymore. Yeah, makes sense? So please make sure that take, you discuss about current issues, you take current issues, but you will get to know about current issues just before your exam. All right, this is how we do it. So these are 6 broad category areas that are there in your particular accounting course. We'll be focusing, majority of our learning time will be spent on completing IAS and IFRS and consolidation. Ethics is one area which does not take much time. APMs will not take much time. Sustainability standards will have 2 classes only, one class for S1, one class for S2, and then there are current issues which only takes a class. So majority of the time that you would be you will be spending, I'll repeat it once again, you'll be spending on IAS and IFRS and group accounting, which is consolidation. All right. What's your examiner, what's your paper pattern? Your paper is going to be for 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it is going to contain 2 sections. Each section is going to be of 50 marks. Section A will have 2 questions and section B will also have 2 questions. Question number 1 of section A will have, will be a question on group financial statements, and some of the reporting issues will also be discussed, but it will be of 30 marks. So your examiner is your examiner is very transparent with regards to their examining approach. Their examining approach is that question number 1 will be on consolidation. Question number 1 will be on consolidation. It will have some reporting issues attached to it, but it will be on consolidation, and question number 1 nowadays will be of 30 marks. Question number 2, on the other hand, will have some ethics background embedded in it. So question number 2 is primarily of ethics, but at the same time, it will also discuss some reporting implications with you. This is of 20 marks. So the pattern is decided. Question 1, consolidation. Question 2, ethics plus reporting issues. And this is going to be of 20 marks. Then there is section B, which will contain 2 questions of 25 marks each. Technically, these 2 questions can be from any area of the syllabus except core, consolidation, and ethics. So the last 2 questions are basically scenario-based case study questions in which examiner can ask you anything except the core areas of consolidation and ethics. So it will most likely ask you about IAS and IFRS. It will most likely ask you about APM, sustainability reporting standards, or current issues. Yeah. So the other remaining areas are largely tested in question number 3 or question number 4. Your paper also has some professional marks. These are 4 professional marks in your SBR exam. Unlike SBL, you only have 4 professional marks in this particular exam, which are given for the clarity of answer and for the thought process and how you deal with your examination. Yeah. And, there will be 2 professional marks. There will be 2 professional marks in your question number 2. And there will be 2 professional marks out of the 4 marks of 4 professional marks that are there for this whole paper. 2 professional marks will be for ethics, and 2 professional marks will be there for either question 2 or question 4. Those 2 professional marks will be in either question 3 or question number 4, where current issues are tested, or where stakeholders' perspective is tested, or where APMs are tested. So either of the question 3 or 4 will have 2 professional marks attached to it, and they are just given as a bonus. They are just given for the sake of clarity of your answer. All right. So that is it. That is it. There, this is the paper pattern. Now, I just told you that most of the time that you are going to spend with me for the purpose of preparing this paper SBR, you are going to spend time with me for two topical areas, which is IS and IFRS and consolidation. And therefore, I would like to discuss these two areas in a bit more detail. When you talk about IS and IFRS, this is the first area that we are going to target on. You have got you have got almost every published accounting standard in your course. There are some accounting standards like, IFRS 4, IFRS 6, IFRS 7, in much detail. You have got like IFRS 14, IFRS 17. These type of specialized accounting standards are not there in your course, but apart from these specialized industries like insurance sector or banking sector or mining sector, apart from these specialized accounting standards, almost every accounting standard that is published in this world is in your course. And what I have done is I have divided your whole IS and IFRS course into two headings. One type of accounting standards are those accounting standards that are just carried forward from your previous paper FR. From your previous paper FR, like IS 1, presentation of financial statements, IS 2, inventories, IS 8, changes in accounting policies, accounting estimates and prior period errors, IS 10, events after the reporting period, property, plant and equipment, and so on and so forth. Now, these are those particular accounting standards that are just carried forward from your paper FR. There is no new addition to them in this particular paper. So you just need to revise them. Just revise them. You can revise them through the lectures that I have provided you, yeah, or you can read notes. You can read study notes about them and you can complete this area. It is as simple as that. It's also possible that you only read these particular areas just from the notes and prepare for it yourself. I have provided you lectures for it, but if you want to save time, you can just recall whatever you have studied about these particular accounting standards in your previous paper FR, and that should be it. Yeah. Then there are certain areas that are specific to SBR. And why do I call them specific to SBR? Because these are those particular areas in your SBR course that either you haven't studied yet in your previous paper FR, or even if these are those accounting standards, even if you have studied these accounting standards in your previous paper FR, then still there is some addition to that prior knowledge in SBR's course. And that is why you would want to study that particular accounting standard again. Again, I would say that the SBR specific accounting standards are those accounting standards that are either entirely new to you, or you already know about them, but there is an extended version of it in the paper SBR. Let's talk about like IAS 7. So IAS 7 is about statement of cash flows, but in SBR you study consolidated statement of cash flows. So this is something which you haven't studied before. Yeah, you have studied IAS 12 previously as well in your paper FR, IAS 12 income taxes, in which you also study about deferred taxation. But again, in SBR, you study IAS 12 from the perspective of group accounting as well. So there is a clear addition in IAS 12. Yeah. So it's an extended version of the knowledge that you already have. Remember, we will be doing complete accounting standard from scratch. Don't think that I will just say, okay, IAS 12 you already know. Now we will only study the advanced part. No. We will study this accounting standard in a manner I'll just presume that you haven't studied it. You haven't studied it before. Yeah. But just to let you know that you might have heard about IAS 12 before, we will study from scratch. I will be assuming that you haven't studied this particular accounting standard anywhere in the past, but still you might have heard about it before. All right. Then there is an accounting standard IAS 19 employee benefits. You haven't studied about it before. IAS 21, one part of it you have studied, but in SBR we have foreign subsidiaries. Yeah. When you have foreign subsidiaries, for example, you are a parent company in Dubai and you have a subsidiary which is based in Switzerland, there will be multiple currencies involved, and how to do consolidation in the case of multiple currencies we'll discuss in the case of foreign subsidiaries, and there IAS 21 is again relevant. You might have this you might have studied about IAS 21 in your previous paper FR, but still there is much more in-depth knowledge about IAS 21 in this paper, and that is why I've written this particular accounting standard within the heading of SBR specific accounting standards. Yeah. Then there is IAS 24, not studied before, IAS 34, interim financial statements, IAS 36, impairment of assets. You might have studied IAS 36 before, but there is again some addition to it. And then there are multiple accounting standards that you are going to study with me. There are multiple accounting standards that you are going to study with me. And along with these accounting standards, you are also going to study some standards relating to sustainability. So sustainability standards, particularly S1 and S2, are also covered within your scope. Now, you guys might be thinking, sir, these are a lot of accounting standards to talk about. These are a lot of accounting standards. Don't worry. At least some of these accounting standards are automatically covered when you study the topic consolidation. Let's say, for example, I'll tell you, IFRS 3 business combinations is part of consolidation. Then you talk about IFRS 10, it is part of consolidation. IFRS 5, I will teach you with consolidation. Then there is IFRS 11, I will teach you during consolidation. There is IFRS 12 that I will teach you during consolidation. Yeah. All right. Then, yeah. So these are the kind of accounting standards or even IAS 21. Yeah. And IAS 7. So you see, if I count down these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So at least 7 of these accounting standards, you will study them as a topic consolidation. So for example, you will be studying foreign subsidiary, you will get to know about IAS 21. When you will be studying about, discontinued operations and consolidated financial statements, you will be studying about IFRS 5. Yeah. When you will be studying about joint arrangements, you will be studying IFRS 11. So within the topic of consolidation, at least 7 accounting standards will be bypassed within one topic. I'll let you know when we are studying what particular accounting standard, obviously. But you see, you don't need to worry that there is a lot to cover in this course. Agreed, there is a lot to cover in this course, but at least 7 of these accounting standards are part of consolidation itself. Consolidation is made up of these 7 accounting standards. So 7 are collected into one topic, consolidation. Yeah. You might have to spend some time in covering rest of the other accounting standards, but again, this is completely doable. Completely doable. Nothing to worry about. All right. So this is all about IAS and IFRS that is there in your course. And then you have another long area, which is group accounts. When you talk about group accounting in SBR now, you don't get a question in which you will have to prepare a consolidated financial statement from scratch. You don't get a question like that in SBR anymore. In SBR, now you will get a pre-populated spreadsheet. Yeah, you will get a spreadsheet in which the consolidated financial statement has already been prepared, but it will be in draft form. You will have to make necessary adjustment in that financial statement and rectify the errors and correct. And at the end of the time, you will have a corrected consolidated financial statement in front of you. So your examiner does not want you to prepare a consolidated financial statement from scratch. You see, in real life, even when you're working on the strategic level, you will have other people who prepare the basic draft of financial statements for you to work on. Your job would be to rectify any errors that are done, or make sure that completeness of all accounting transactions is there in those financial statements, and just close them. Yeah. So this is how the group accounting question works. In consolidation in particular, you'll be expected to study various topics. Now, one area is of basic consolidation, which is simply a carried forward knowledge of FR. And then there are some areas which relate to advanced consolidation. And believe you me, the better you are in basic consolidation, the better you will perform in advanced consolidation. Technically, advanced consolidation is much easier when you have good concepts of basic consolidation. So please make sure that you go through basic consolidation very carefully. You will study about joint arrangements, which is covered under IFRS 11. You will study about held for sale and discontinued operations. This is covered under IFRS 5. You will study about step acquisitions. You will also study about disposals. I mean, if you can acquire a company and form a group, why can you not dispose of a company and, shuffle the group? A parent company can acquire many subsidiaries, but it can also dispose of some subsidiaries, right? So you'll also learn about disposals. You'll learn about multinational corporations, companies with foreign subsidiaries. You'll also get to prepare group statement of cash flows. This is one very interesting area. All in all, there is a lot of consolidation in your course that you need to cover. A lot of consolidation in your course that you need to cover. All right. Make sense? So just to conclude the presentation, how do you begin? You see, you can register on our website, which is www.accaonline.co. You go there, buy the course, register for it. You can pay the fee online on our website. You can either pay the fee online on website using debit or credit cards, or you can contact our student support if you want to go for bank transfers or anything else, right? If you want to contact me directly, you can also do that, right? So my number, the number of Sir Yasir Yamin, I'm giving you my number, which is +923452745092. You can directly contact me on WhatsApp and I'll help you in any of the queries that you have before enrolling for the course. And obviously we'll have a very good connection once you enroll for the course. And if you have any queries with regards to the payment system or anything like that, any query that you have, you can always ask me about it. Yep. All right. Once you register, remember you will join the exclusive WhatsApp group, which is there for registered students only. So registered students get one-on-one feedback, right? All other students which might follow me based on YouTube lectures or something like that, they won't get one-on-one feedback from me most likely. But all the registered students will always have access to me via the WhatsApp group, or they will also have a personal connection with me. All right. And this is everything about SBR and myself and in the course that we are going to take. I highly prefer that you start this course as soon as possible so that you can dedicate enough time. There might be some other questions as well that just came into my mind. You might ask me, sir, what type of support with regards to the text and notes you provide. Once you register, guys, once you register and pay the fee, you will have access to my exclusive study notes. Yeah, these are the study notes that based on them I teach. So all the study notes, you'll have access to them. I try to provide you some authorized publishers study text or exam kit whenever possible, right? So you'll get access to study text and exam kit whenever possible. We often try to cover the study hub as well. Yeah, study hub practice questions as well. We often try to do that as much as we can. Yeah, you'll get access to complete course. Remember, you'll get access to complete course along with a lot of practice material. Yeah, you will get access to complete course along with a lot of practice material. So we do many questions from the from the examination kit. We do many questions from the past papers. We do mock examinations published by ACCA. We do almost every question of the past paper that is recently published by ACCA. So we do everything we can. All right. So please make sure that you join in on time, allow yourself a reasonable period of time to prepare for this paper, because this is a very interesting paper, but you will need to put in a lot of effort for it. All right. So I expect that you'll be able to complete this entire course. SBR is a very lengthy course. You'll be able to complete it within 60 to 70 hours of preparation. And that includes my lectures, past papers, and your own preparation time as well. At least 60 to 70 hours is the is the amount of time that I would recommend to any average student who is going to study SBR, right? Some people might spend more, some people might spend quite less, but 60 to 70 hours is more than enough for an average student to cover this particular paper. If you have any other queries, you can always come to me. You have my number. You can always contact me and let me know whatever way I can help you. All right. So this is it from my side. In any case, you have any query, just feel free to contact me. Take care. Allah Hafiz.